Hello and welcome to STRT Over Coffee. My name is Shakayla Smith and I'm a product marketing analyst here at STRT. STRT Over Coffee is all about having conversations with creators in the Salt Lake City area. And today we'll be interviewing Alex Beekley, who is a co-founder of UnleashBP. Alex Beekley is a resilient entrepreneur who is a part of the STRT community. And on this episode, we'll be speaking about resilience as an entrepreneur. So, hi Alex, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. So today we'll be talking a little bit more about resiliency as an entrepreneur. And I would love to kind of hear your thoughts being a co-founder of UnleashBP, which is a marketing agency. I would love to have you talk a little bit about that and then kind of discuss a little bit about your background and what brought you here as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, of course. So first, just I think a little bit about me and then why I'm doing. Me and my partner, we started UnleashBP. It's our third week now, so we're so new. It's not even funny. But over the past about 6 months, I have been working towards starting and growing my own business. This is my fifth business, and through all of that, before the businesses, I don't call them failures just because I learned so much through them, and that's kind of where the word resiliency comes from. You have to be resilient enough to say, okay, it didn't work out, but there was a lesson with it that will allow me to grow and be even better in the next business than I was in the first. So those 4 other businesses were just small local businesses like e-commerce stores, Amazon, drop shipping, all those types of things, just to kind of figure out how to traverse online websites and how to start making money that way. So that's basically how I started. But it took me like 4 months just to kind of go everything. And when they say an entrepreneur wears all the hats, that's so true, just because you have to be the person, you have to be the salesperson, the website designer, the customer service person, the accountant, and you're like all these people at once and even more. So it was definitely trying to balance all of that at the same time was definitely it was a struggle, but it allowed me to really respect the people who are experts in those fields. And down the road, then I'll know how that works and the jargon and verbiage that goes with that. So I definitely learned a lot through that. But now I actually met me and my partner. We met on LinkedIn. He actually reached out to me just because I do podcast videos and create content just to bring value to people, usually through LinkedIn. And so we set up a meeting. We talked a little bit, and he outright said he basically told me that he wanted to just get to know me and see if we could, network in the future. But after he saw some of my videos, he said, he's looking for a partner, and he liked that I complemented his strengths. He's really good at the website designing, the background software stuff, and I'm the person that's the salesperson, the front person. So after a while, we got to know each other and realized that we could really make something, because he had a great idea with what he was doing, and then now it came into what's called UnleashBP. It means unleash your buying power, and we thought it was cool because it's also the first letter of each of our last names. So Beekley, P, Piana. So we thought that was pretty cool. But it's been 3 weeks, and basically we've had to pivot a lot. We've had to just, trial and error, basically everything. And we're still learning, just trying to get onboard clients and how to make their experience better overall and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, right now we're starting with marketing training for established businesses, website design, so that the businesses that have been in business for 10, 15, 20 plus years, they have that online presence, they have a way for their clients to find them. And even more so for the businesses that have been impacted by the pandemic, they can really focus on getting their clients back and just being ready for the future when we do go basically 100% digital, because it is a possibility that brick and mortar stores will be just non-existent, obsolete, just because my generation Z, is going to become the biggest cohort, even surpassing baby boomers if it hasn't already in the next 2 to 5 years. So we're definitely digital era generation. So we're excited to help those businesses just to stay in business, because Aaron and I, we both have a passion and love for small businesses, especially here in Utah, when it's the second surge city in the entire world, probably just the nation, but we're hoping the world. And so basically that's what that is. And
Awesome. Yeah, I would kind of love for you to speak about your background a little bit more, because geez, you have from how I know you and what I know about you, you have really surpassed a lot of people, I think, in the COVID-19 segment. You have started a business at the beginning of March, around there, and now you have completely started a new business. And I would love for you to speak a little bit about that resiliency and what it kind of took to jump back from your old business to this new one and being like, hey, um, this is not working out. And what were the things that made you know that you needed to start something else? What was your instinct telling you? What was that like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So like I said, I had kind of smaller businesses, but the main business that I had that actually was incorporated and I had for a couple of months was a face mask company. I actually worked with a local business here in Utah, and he does any type of printing services, but he started to create his own face mask designs. And the way the mask was made, it was completely different than anything I'd seen before. It wasn't cloth, but it was also very breathable material, and it was really comfortable to wear. I still wear some that I've gotten from him as well, but I just asked because I would try to find his website, kind of did a thing. I was like, oh, this is really cool. I want to check him out. And I couldn't, it was so hard to find his website, find what he did. And then when I did find his website, it was like just so much information at once. And I was like, oh, okay. So I kind of knew him because he was in she's in a business group that she meets with each week. And so I met him. I kind of knew him a little bit from previous months. And I asked him, I was like, I could help your website a little bit if you wanted me to. And he's like, yeah, that'd be really cool. So I kind of created that thing and then the website. And then over time, I kind of started, dabbling in Facebook ads, getting some sales. And he says, you can create your own brand around this and kind of sell a little increase in price because he was still doing it wholesale. And so I bumped up the prices, gave it my own brand, Mayor V Rosie, which is French for the best rosy life. I still don't know how I came up with that name. It just popped in my head
It's
because I've taken French for the past 4 years. So thank you. So yeah, it's just the thing that popped in my head is like, we're gonna use it. So yeah, I did that, and for almost 3 months, I think I used that, and it was pretty good. It was a great learning experience, especially at the beginning, because I just learned all that stuff. Like I said, advertising, creating the website, updating it, connecting with clients, and making sure that they have a face mask not just for protection but personalization. And I love that idea, especially nowadays when people have to wear it pretty much all the time, 24/7, especially when they go places. That having that personalization and having it match their outfit or giving them that confidence, empowerment throughout the days was really something I was passionate about. So a couple months I did that, and then I met Aaron. And he was talking about his business idea, and at that time my sales were declining, and I was trying everything I possibly could think of just to get out there, doing networking events, trying to talk to different people I knew, even you, Shay and Vic from START, just trying to figure out how to do it. We did a round table, which was really awesome. I got information from that. And even still, it was hard because I think there was a shift in the market we discussed, and it was hard to kind of come back from that, figure out how to do that. So I was talking with Aaron, and he had this great business idea, and then at the same time my other business was going down, and I knew it could have been a trend business just because face masks fluctuate in how many people like them, that kind of thing. Just it goes up and down, especially in the past 6 months or so. But and there's a ton of different online website stores for even Amazon. Basically everyone I know got them from Amazon because they can get them in like 2 days. So at the same time, ours was cool, but over time people pick convenience over that. So I saw that trend, and I was like, I saw this new business opportunity, and I've learned to just let go of things when you're holding on to your life, but it's nothing coming out of it. So I let go of that business, Mayor V Rosie, and started UnleashBP with Aaron. And literally like 2 weeks, you're funny, Shay, you're commenting, you're like, oh, how's Mayor V Rosie? I'm like, oh, I started a new business, and you're like, that was fast. Yeah,
it was a fast bounce back, just like a different company, and that doesn't happen very often. And that's awesome.
And being so young at this and not having probably actual large corporation ideas in my head, I didn't think it was that fast. Honestly, I thought like and we're still kind of slow in the process. That's probably going to be the next months we project, just slow onboarding process. But, you know, where resilience comes in, you have to have the mindset that, you know, everything you're going through happens for a reason, even if it sucks, even if it's a failure and you think that it's not going to have any benefit in the future. It will, because it's teaching you something you'll need to make you stronger in the future. So that's something I learned through that. And then the people I've met too, I have great mentors, just great leaders I get to talk to basically daily. And they kind of give me that mindset of resilience and just continuing forward, especially if, you know, we're providing something like websites for businesses. And even if it's, you know, there's a ton of other corporations that are doing the same thing, I think what we're doing is a bit different. We've actually adjusted from like you and I, Shay and Vic and all of us have talked about previously, but we're excited to we love just helping small businesses, but serving people over time. So that's something that we find really important and allows us to take our eyes off of ourselves and to just provide that for other people.
Awesome. Well, kind of going back onto that, when you were saying, you know, 2 weeks, like it wasn't that fast for you, but for everyone else, it was like fast. That's such a fast bounce back. What do you think kind of propelled you or attracted you to this marketing company now that you guys are starting, you and Aaron? What attracted you to this business model, and what do you think is this underlining passion and purpose you have for UnleashBP?
Yeah, great question. So I think what attracted me to it was just Aaron. I got to know him a little bit more, and he was a very shy person, but when he started talking about his business idea, he lit up and he was so passionate about it. And I was like, okay. So I got to know a little about it, and basically what his idea was, some other companies do the same thing, but we have a team of Generation Z entrepreneurs, so 22 years old or younger. So I'm basically kind of alone till like we're the lower generations, but like I said, we're going to be the biggest generation in the workplace coming in the next few years. So it's really powerful to see our group. And what he was talking about with established businesses, a lot of them don't have that way to market to those younger generations, because if you see kind of what we're attracted to, it's like bright colors, memes, all that kind of stuff. Everything's almost a joke. So you have to kind of bridge that gap between those two generations. So that's what he loved to do, because we both have a resonance. We both love just the old-fashioned mindset and the what was the word for it? Just not vintage, but just we resonate with older generations a lot more, so we can connect with them. But at the same time, we hope to, because we understand our own generation, we can just bridge that gap between, you know, helping them market, helping them resonate and connect with those basically almost kids who are coming into the workplace, just because it's going to be so important in the future, in the next even just few years. So he was talking about that and growing that, and a lot of they call like Generation Z marketing agencies, and a lot of them kind of have that same thing where they say we're marketing, you know, helping established businesses market to younger generations. But what we do, we really understand the established generations, older generations, more than those younger ones, because we just have that. We've grown up with those types of people. I even myself, I love talking to older people, old folks' homes, and just really finding what they love and they love to talk about. So because we understand that, we can actually really connect those two generations a lot easier than some other Generation Z marketing agencies, because we understand both sides of the bridge, not just one bridge connecting to the other side. So that's what we hope to bring to that. That's what really attracted me to what Aaron was doing. And basically a lot of it is just his idea, but I've been able to learn and grow, and we've been helping each other, going back and forth with ideas, growing a brand, and just connecting customers, because that's something I'm actually really strong at, just, you know, cold calling basic strangers and just, you know, connecting with them, seeing what's going on with their business, if they need any help or if they've been impacted, because once you build that relationship, it's so important to do. So because we complement each other, that's why we're such a great team. What was the second part of your question?
You know, I don't remember. However, there, a question did just pop up to me, because you talk a little bit about the generations and this bridging this gap. What sort of marketing techniques do you see that are trending or that are becoming more relevant in the space of Generation Z? What is attractive to that generation? What platforms are they using more so than other platforms? What are some things that you're noticing in the last couple of years and in the years to come that are increasingly becoming attractive to that generation?
Yeah. And that's actually a great question because it does fluctuate, and that's something we're still trying to figure out. But from what I've seen just the past couple of weeks is that with Generation Z, we we basically like just the we like information like that. So you see Instagram, they kind of have the new reels coming on where it's basically TikTok. So they have their own just short little videos, and at the same time, people love to eat those up, especially if they're educational or they're funny, or if you can mix those two together. So especially Instagram, Facebook it depends on, I guess, the Generation Z. If you have one that's kind of like Aaron and I, where we are trying to connect with the older generations, that's where we go, Facebook and LinkedIn. But I'd see Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok if it's not going to be banned in the next year or so. Those are the main platforms that Generation Z is on. It's actually, I read the statistic, and I think it was last year, 2018, Generation Z, they consume about 608 billion seconds of just content every single day, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we're basically on YouTube, or we're on Instagram watching like 15-second videos. And what's interesting is that over time, and especially actually now and then in the future, our attention span is going to be like 15 seconds max. So having that gap between the older generations, the established businesses, they like to take their time in explaining something and to have, the billboards up, or they like to have newspaper ads. But at the same time, if you're not catching that Generation Z, if you're not catching their attention within the first 3 seconds, you've lost them already. So just teaching them how to do that, how to create something educational and fun, and having them, it's something that captures their attention right away. That's going to be something so powerful for them in the future, and allow them to really resonate and just start, talking to the younger generations, because like I said, that time spans can be way shortened. So it used to be like 5 minutes for attention spans, and now it's shortened way down just because of all the content we consume every single day. It's changing, and it's just so much, it's so little time. So just having that, I think that's the biggest different marketing strategy that the established businesses can use to really resonate with Generation Z. And that's something that I think will be very impactful and really influence their business as they grow in the future.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think digital marketing has become the biggest traffic for all generations now that technology is so prevalent in society and in our businesses. But I totally agree with that. Just going off that, you met Aaron on LinkedIn, which is another social media platform, but for professionals. And with professionals, how did you make a name for yourself? How did you, as Alex Beekley, as a young entrepreneur, say, hey, I'm here in this market trying to make a change and difference? How did you make a voice on LinkedIn and network with others? And that's a different sort of marketing. I think that's kind of almost an influencer marketing that we would call now today. But how would you mix your personal marketing with what you're doing? Because I think that's what has contributed to kind of people following your success with UnleashBP now that you've left MVP in the dust. So
yeah, and that's something that I actually just thought about too, was that our generation loves transparency and there's the authenticity that someone can bring to the table, especially when it comes to business. So it's not having that being professional is important at the right appropriate times, but also showing the times when you've had those failures, or that they sucked. Just showing that is so much more powerful, and it allows people to really connect with you, because it's like, basically when you go through a lot of the social media, Instagram, Facebook, you see people's lives like it's, it's glorified, it's awesome all the time, but people don't like to show the bad times that they have, the divorce, the breakup, the fights, the mental struggles, all that stuff. So it's a shift from those generations as well, just to really start creating content that shows both sides of that. And that's, I think, what's helped me over time, because I created videos and did podcasts and stuff, and I showed the real side of not just me, but other people. And I think that allowed others to really resonate with my content and allowed me to, I guess, create a name for myself. But I think that's really helped just over time, because, people aren't perfect. And if you really show that you're not, and, you just say, what, today sucked, but this is what I learned, or this is what happened, and I'm going to get over it, then other people can start to believe in themselves and believe that they can do that too. So that was something that I always loved to do, and really passionate to just share that people are people, and it's, we all make mistakes, we all have failures, but if we just kind of group together and we share that and we can learn from each other, that's when powerful things can happen.
I totally agree. I think there's this new wave of showing vulnerability and authenticity, and people feel more than in person. I think people are doing it online and on blogs and on LinkedIn. And so I think that there's a lot to say with that in marketing too. I mean, there's this wave of people that want authentic marketing. And how do you think you can match your personal authenticity with UnleashBP or your future startups? I mean, what do you think is just super important to keep transparent with your clients or potential clients and consumers?
I think what's the most important to keep, upfront all the time is just basically, when it comes to UnleashBP, I think what we're doing. So even if, we say we have all these big successes, we'll probably say, what, this week we got like one client, or this week we didn't get any. So just having that transparency and saying we're not successful all the time, we don't have that 100% flow of clients or, that types of services every single week, but just keeping that up front, but then also keeping the ideas that we have, that we value, how much we care about people, how much we want to serve them. And it's not that we want your money automatically. That's not how it goes. I cold call for hours every day just to build a relationship with people, because that's what I care about first. If they don't need my help, that's great. That means that their business is strong, and that's even better for the whole, their circle, the economy, everything else. So it comes down to just showing that when it comes to the business side, saying, we're not perfect all the time. We did great last week, but this week we didn't do as well. But then also showing that, we're doing this for a reason. We're doing this because we care, and not because we want to capitalize on it. So that's, I think, the two main things that we will focus on, continue being transparent about over time as we grow UnleashBP.
I think that's great to keep the transparency even as you grow as a startup. And what right now in the early stages have you tried to keep transparent when growing UnleashBP and doing research? And it's such the early stages that people don't talk about it very often. But what have you found that has been really successful in your research and in the early business stages, and what hasn't been working? What has been hard? And it's such a weird time right now with COVID-19 that I'm sure the struggles today are a lot different than it would have been last year. But what are some things that you're struggling with right now, and what are some things that have been really successful?
For the past couple of weeks, I think the one thing that's been consistently being successful is just the communication that Aaron and I have to just what we want to do and our passion with the business. So even if, most of the time we've had to, each week we change what we do based on, if we do cold calling, or if we do networking events, or reaching out to people that we know in our network, just trying to get different information, trying to get that consistent flow of onboarding clients. That's kind of been a challenge we've had, but at the same time, just the passion that we have for what we're doing, that's been consistent, and that's allowed us to keep going and to drive and keep moving forward, even if, there's an airplane. That?
Yeah, it's totally fine. It's little. It's totally fine.
Oh, right over me. Okay. Helicopter. Okay, anyway. But yeah, it's been so powerful just to see not just his passion, but being able to feed off each other. Like last week, he was just dismotivated with everything because, we weren't having as much luck with the cold calls. We weren't we didn't have a system in place yet. So, we called, we talked, we got motivating each other, and then now we have more of a system with that way, which has been really helpful for both of us. And now we're solidifying our brand. We're kind of changing up our own website just to really resonate with what we're trying to convey to our clients. And then, just consistently relying on each other. That's been a great success. And then just challenges, I guess, what every startup has, just finding the clients and having them being able to trust us enough to provide them the value that we know we can give. But just having that chance to do it has been probably one of the biggest challenges.
Totally. I think with entrepreneurship, people have this misconception that it's just an easy road because they see the end result, most people, right? They see the Jeff Bezos of the world. They see just Apples of the world. And there's so much more to it. And kind of as a young entrepreneur, I kind of want you to speak a little bit more about you as an entrepreneur, just as an individual and self, what keeps you motivated or resilient in your projects and what you want to do in this change in the world, because it's hard to make a name of yourself and create change in the world. What's been your biggest motivator in doing that?
I have a couple of big motivations, and over time people ask me this and I never really know the answer, but I think just trying to figure that out. I always have my main why is just my family, trying to contribute to them and giving them the life that they deserve, because my parents, my younger sister, they've all worked so hard that they deserve something that that really shows from what they've done, even if the corporate world doesn't decide to give that to them. But that's always been a big major factor. But when it comes to just internally, I think over time I've grown to have no expectations on life whatsoever. So if like nothing happens, then I'm not disappointed, or if something does, then that's great. But just having that idea that when I talk to someone, even if it's a cold call, we have a good conversation. I find out that they don't need our services. Just seeing hearing the difference in their tone from like when they first call me on the phone, they're like, oh hey, I'm really busy. They're kind of annoyed almost to the point where they don't want to talk to me. But then like we talk and I'm like, oh, I actually care with what they're saying. Then they can kind of tell that. And at the end they're like, oh, thank you so much for calling. Have a great day. And just knowing that I probably made that person's day just a little bit better. Or when I love to talk to strangers. I don't know why. Just I go out and like give people compliments. But just knowing that, I might have changed that person's life for that day or even for a week or so. Just knowing that that's what changes the world, so that gives me the motivation that, over time I will maybe have a humongous impact that will impact multiple lives at once. But if I just have that one person impact every single day, I think that knowing that end result will be, millions of people who have a better life gives me the motivation to keep doing what I'm doing every single day, even if I'm tired or not motivated and I don't want to do it. That's just what I have in my mind, and that's something that I always believe, just taking your eyes off yourself, looking towards others, because there's probably someone out there who has way less than you do and they just need someone to say hi to them or give them a compliment. Yeah. That's something that really motivates me every day.
I love that. I think there needs to be more people like that. I also think there is a lot of confidence that goes into cold calling and getting people's attention. And so I think you have a lot of confidence, more than the average person, because I could even say personally, I'm not very good at cold calls. I'm not good at cold messages on LinkedIn. I love to do it, and I hope that I'm making a difference just as you do. And I think most people have that intention, even if they're trying to sell you a product or service. I think most people have this intention to make a change when they do cold call or outreach because they believe in something. But I also think that there's this level of confidence that you have to have. And what makes you have this confidence? Like, what has made Alex so confident, especially as a young woman entrepreneur? Like, that is a gift.
I I honestly I don't know. It's just I think the satisfaction and fulfillment that what comes with life, that just talking to people or seeing them smile during the day, that gives me satisfaction and that gives me confidence to keep doing what I'm doing. And I think just over time, just, I've had people tell me that I probably can't do it, or I have people who don't believe in me, and everyone's going to have that. But it's the question of, are you going to use that as, something to bring you down or fuel you to what you actually want to do, so you can come back and say, you know what, this is what I did. You were wrong. So that's just, I guess it's more competitive. I'm really competitive when it comes to like sports or something, but that's probably where my competitiveness comes in. And just knowing that I have my own self-love, self-respect, and self-worth, so much so that other people's judgments and whatever they say doesn't matter to me. And I think that gives me the confidence to continue on. And then when I get the positive feedback, it's great. But when I get the negative feedback, I can just use that to continue fueling me to keep going.
For sure. I think it's your perspective on what feedback you do get, and taking those negative feedback as constructive and as fuel instead of weighing you down. I think it's so easy to let those negative comments and feedback to compile and to really let it affect you. I really, like I said, I think it's rare to have the amount of confidence you do. And that is so great. Like, a lot of people your age, I think, don't have that. I think you're a great example of just how you should be in life. There's people older than you that don't have that much confidence. And I think something in our careers that we will always struggle with in our journey in life is this idea of imposter syndrome. Do you ever feel imposter syndrome?
It's a good question. I think I'm only not myself when I am trying to be like a cut above or a step above from what I am. But I think over time that even if it's something like I'm being more professional than I usually am, or I'm not, showing 100% of myself, I think in those certain times it allows for it. But that just, it helps you be flexible in those situations. So I think even now I'm in college, if you can't tell, I'm in trees, but just letting go of what other people think, I think that's when you can just start being 100% of the time. So like, even if I go to class or I'm really loud when I laugh, or if I, say my opinions and then, politely disagree with other people, over time, you figure out it just doesn't matter. So some people take longer to figure it out than others, and that's perfectly fine. It's your journey. It's your realizations and resolutions that you have. But the sooner that you can figure that out, I think the sooner you can start living your life. So I don't think I've really had just a false idea of myself or really had imposter syndrome. But I think I've had that where I fake it till I make it, because honestly, I've done that so many times where I kind of pretend I know what I'm doing, but then over time I just figure it out. So, as long as you can get in those rooms and, I think one of my favorite sayings, people say they want to be the smartest person in the room, but if you're the dumbest, youngest person in the room, you're going to be the one that grows the most. So I love being in those rooms, being the youngest, dumbest person, because you sit there and you learn so much. And so I think when people start to realize that, that's when they can really change their life for the better.
I love that. I love that so much. I think your perspective as an entrepreneur is what really defines your success. And you might fail sometimes, you might have some lows some weeks or some days or months, but if you know that you're going to come back and conquer and are confident enough to say, I am going to move on from this and I am better than this, and just moving forward as you go is just such such a huge thing and such a key thing to have as an entrepreneur, is that perspective and mindset to just keep going regardless. And I think it's funny, you talk about imposter syndrome a little bit. I could personally say I felt imposter syndrome throughout my life. And it's not necessarily, it's the idea of, oh, I don't know if I know enough. But I think as an entrepreneur, you just keep saying, okay, actually, I don't know enough, but I'm going to learn it. And being young and being the youngest person in the room, I love that. Like, being the youngest person in the room, you could grow the most. And just never letting yourself be defined by the circumstance you're in, but letting your mind and who you are define you. Like, you define yourself. And I love that. That is such a good perspective. What are some advice that you have for young female entrepreneurs? Specifically, I think you really attract to me because of just your resilience and your strength and your love for entrepreneurship. What would you give young females out there that are entrepreneurs or wanting to be entrepreneurs, future just women in the workplace? What would you say to them?
Yeah, for women, women, or if you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to start a business, there's going to be a lot of people out there who don't believe in you because there's still that stigma, there's still that stereotype that women can't do as much as men, or they can't, start their own business and that kind of thing. So there will be that. So as long as you can look at that and say, you know what, you'll have that perspective, you have that mindset that you can do anything, that's where it starts. And then if you decide to do that and you consciously make that decision in your mind to actually go out and do it, nothing can stop you. Even if there's obstacles in the way, the only thing that can inhibit you from doing anything is yourself. So as long as you believe and you've made that conscious inside decision, I'm going to do it and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there, then nothing can stop you, literally nothing. So as long as you just believe in yourself, believe that you have so much worth, you have so much power and so much to give to the world, even if it's like what I do, just say hi to a person or affect one person's life a day. Over time, through your life, think about how many days that could be, how much you can really change someone's life, even if it's just for a moment. Realize how much power that is and how much you can even just increase that every single day to one person, to two people, to three people. And then over time, you'll exponentially make a difference. So just be aware of what you can do, because especially women in the world, we have so much power, so much to contribute. And it's not like a feminist thing or anything. Men can do the same thing. But
totally.
I think it's our time to get out there, do what we want to do, because there needs to be more women. There needs to be more powerhouse people out there who can influence others, but also just be the ones to make a difference. Because I think women have that advantage because we think through things a little bit better and a little bit more.
A little jab at the males out there.
I love you all, guys. No hard feelings, but
yeah.
I think it's our time. So if you just realize your worth and if you have that perspective, you can absolutely do anything.
I love it. I love that energy. Well, I think that's it, Alex. I'm just so glad to have you on this STRT podcast, and I appreciate your time. Thanks for being on here.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. If you would like to learn more about Alex and UnleashBP, visit UnleashBP.com. If you'd like to learn more about STRT, visit STRT.com.